Everyone, you've signed on for another edition of the King's Castle. I'm King James. I'll be your host for the next hour of wrestling news, entertainment news, and whatever else you want to know. And here to help me, as always, back from a 2-week hiatus, is my partner, the always reliable and rarely shy Blair Chopin. Blair, good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a very big night because, as you know,
Huge.
this is WWE Draft Night. The brand extension that we've been talking about for the past month and a half is finally here.
Finally.
But before we get there, we got to catch everybody up on what's been going on the past
Been gone about 2.5 weeks, huh?
2 weeks. The biggest story, at least to my knowledge to this point, is the Summerslam main event. At SummerSlam, we will see the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar, taking on the returning Viper, Randy Orton.
Wow.
Now,
It's a good animal nickname.
Now I gotta say, even though these two men have never met in the ring one-on-one before, they're no strangers to each other because they've trained together in Ohio Valley Wrestling. Their careers in WWE parallel each other in the sense that they debuted right around the same time. So my question is this. Blair, in your opinion, who between Lesnar and Orton has the clear advantage, and why?
Well, it's going to be interesting for me because if Lesnar is actually off steroids for this match, he might only weigh 150 pounds going into the match.
Well,
He might be like a twig.
I don't really think that has
He might have to send Paul Heyman in to wrestle Randy Orton instead. I'm just giving Brock Lesnar some crap, but it's an interesting match. It's one of those kind of legacy matches to me. You know, something the fans have been calling for a while. Randy
without
Orton.
a doubt. And the fact is, even if Brock Lesnar wasn't able to compete, you couldn't send Paul Heyman in there because he's a manager. And as such, he's probably one of the most uncoordinated characters they have.
Ooh, I don't know. What about you? I don't know if he's the most uncoordinated in WWE history, though. What about Eugene? Eugene's probably the most uncoordinated person associated with WWE.
Well, remember, they brought Eugene in because he was Eric Bischoff's nephew, according to the storyline.
What about that clown? That clown was not coordinated at all.
Doink!
Doink was not coordinated.
Well, he wasn't trying to be coordinated. He was more of a prankster. Because he would always run around the ring carrying that air horn and carrying all those balloons. But
What about someone who also was involved with the WWE, Donald Trump? You think he can be really that coordinated with those small hands?
Well, then again, Donald Trump never actually competed in a match.
Well, to quote Donald Trump, 7 years ago. Wait, that's Abraham
That's
Lincoln.
right, that's Abraham
I
Lincoln.
thought the Trumps would have just plagiarized that. Maybe he'll do that at his speech Wednesday night.
Just for the record, everybody, Mr. Chopin over here is quoting a situation that occurred at the RNC last night
In Cleveland.
in Cleveland, Ohio.
Very entertaining.
Cleveland rocks. So if you want more info on that, watch NBC News. They'll give you everything you want to know.
Oh, you're plugging NBC.
But
You're hoping for an
We're
NBC
getting- sponsorship. We're getting back to the wrestling for a second. But in all seriousness, you say this is a legacy building match. But my concern is this. Quite frankly, Randy Orton's been out of the ring for the past 10 months.
True.
Do you really think he knows what he's getting into with Brock Lesnar here?
I think so. I could totally see the storyline where Randy Orton wins. Because he has he's a legend killer. I think something's going to happen where Brock Lesnar...
Well...
Brock Lesnar's going to suplex him like 20 times, and everyone's going to count Randy Orton out. Paul Heyman's going to do a very uncoordinated dance. Everyone's going to just... And then I think Randy Orton's going to have some sort of rally. And I think he's going to win.
Well, remember, his nickname...
This is going to build his reputation. It's going to give them another star if he wins this match.
Remember, Orton's nickname has always been the Legend Killer, not the Beast Killer.
Yeah, but don't you think Brock Lesnar...
And remember, remember, Brock Lesnar did the impossible a couple of years ago.
The Beast Killer was also my college nickname because of the ladies I brought home.
Yeah, right. Well, Brock Lesnar.
That wasn't a compliment to myself, James.
Brock Lesnar did the impossible a couple of years ago when he broke the WrestleMania undefeated streak of The Undertaker.
Right.
So if he...
And The Undertaker actually wanted Randy Orton to break his streak.
Right.
Pretty sure.
So if Lesnar can do that, don't you think he has as good a chance to tame the Viper as anyone else?
Well, I think so, but I'm thinking about it kind of from a corporate point of view.
Why is that?
The WWE. I'm thinking the WWE. Randy Orton's finally back. He's got that potential to be a star, to be a marquee name. Brock Lesnar right now has a lot of controversy going on with him, and
Right.
he only wrestles.
Right.
Let's be honest, he's a pretty infrequent on the WWE card. Why not give Randy Orton a match to establish himself back as a star? He'll be on the roster more consistently, and we'll give them another star who can fill up the card while they develop these young NXT guys.
Well, on the other hand, Brock Lesnar's really kind of been the wild card for the past couple of years because, as you said, he only comes back for one fight every so often.
Yeah.
But when he is involved in the ring, that does draw a lot of money. So is it really about building a star or is it about making money?
Well, I mean, if you build Randy...
Or a little bit of both.
Well, yeah, but if you build Randy Orton back into being a star, then he's not wrestling every 4 months. And you can have that consistent stardom. And then whenever Brock Lesnar comes back, he's still a star. Just because Brock Lesnar loses this match doesn't mean it's going to take eyes off of him.
That's true.
Plus, you could always
That's
have
true.
Randy Orton cheat to win or something, and then Brock Lesnar's like, "I'll see you at Survivor Series," but he'll only be 90 pounds by then since he'll be off the steroids. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, yeah, we will see what happens. And by the way, you can see that match at SummerSlam on August the 21st, live only on the WWE Network and pay-per-view. But...
Oh, here's a question I have for you, James. A little interjection here, but I just thought of this. Okay. So, since August 21st, that got me thinking, that's probably going to be happening during the Olympics. If there was an Olympics for pro wrestling, what country would have the best chance of beating the United States?
Well, I would probably have to say it would be a toss-up between Mexico or Japan.
Japan, yeah. That's what I was thinking.
And I'll tell you why. Because New Japan Pro Wrestling has kind of dominated the independent scene for a while. I mean, we've seen guys like AJ Styles and the Club and the Japanese Buzzsaw Tajiri come in from Japan and become international superstars for years.
Right.
But then, if you look at it from Mexico's perspective, the Lucha Libre style of wrestling really put the cruiserweights on the map. So it really depends on who you have representing the country. Do you want to put in a lightweight like a cruiserweight, or would you want to put in a super heavyweight to represent America? Because if you put a super heavyweight...
That's what I was thinking. Would we put a super heavyweight in there to wrestle the smaller people? Because we would have a size advantage over Japan, right? Mostly.
Probably. But the thing is, the underdogs have a history of upsetting us and really giving us moments to talk about. What makes you think it'd be any different here?
I don't know. If there was a wrestling tournament with all the leaders of the world, who would win?
Well,
I think Putin would win.
It's quite interesting you mentioned that because right now we are in the middle of the Cruiserweight Classic, which is an international tournament that they're doing for the WWE Network to kind of reestablish the Cruiserweight division.
Very smart idea, by the way.
And right now, the odds-on favorite is a Japanese superstar by the name of Kota Ibushi, who's really taken the country by storm. But next week, we're going to see the return of the Japanese buzzsaw.
So you said
Tajiri.
You said the cruiserweight division was specifically a Raw thing, right?
Yes, as of the draft, tonight they're going to reestablish the Cruiserweight division and bring the Cruiserweights exclusively to Raw.
Here's why I think that's interesting. The general manager of Raw now is going to be Mick Foley.
That is right.
So you got Cruiserweights being kind of paired up with Mick Foley. And I think Mick Foley's going to do really well with that because he knows the high-flying kind of extreme side of wrestling. He's going to know how to book these guys in matches. He's going to know how to develop their talent. So I think another part of that is interesting because, and we'll give, I think, more on this in the next episode.
On the next segment,
The next segment is the way Raw and SmackDown are going to draft.
Right.
Based on their general managers.
We'll talk more about that here.
That's a segue.
Here in the next segment, but
That's a segue.
when we come back, we're going to give you all the information about tonight's draft, including the rules and regulations, and we'll give you some bold predictions. So stay right there.